Okay, so this is the third video on part 4, right? So actually no, this is the second video of part 4. So going into it, we're going to be learning now monetary policy. Now in the previous video, we learned about where the government intervenes with the economy. But over here, we're going to learn about what happens when the central bank intervenes with the economy. So to simplify very carefully, right, monetary policy is when the Reserve Bank, now the Reserve Bank is known as a central bank, another name for it. So they can basically change certain stuff in the economy. So for example, they change the repo rates and all, it'll affect the economy. Now, the repo rate, what is the repo rate? The repo rate is a rate at which the central bank, which is the Reserve Bank, will lend money to our commercial banks. So commercial banks are your everyday banks, right? ABSA, FNB, all those, right? FNB, ABSA, when they need money, it's like so funny, but like yeah, when they need money, they will get money from the central bank, right? And the central bank, which is the Reserve Bank, will give them money, and obviously they have to pay interest. That is called the repo rate. When the banks, commercial banks like ABSA, FNB, get this money from the Reserve Bank, they will just lend this money out and obviously make profit in the form of interest. Now knowing that, let's see how it impacts, right? So the main mechanism used for implementing monetary policy is the interest rate, right? Now, the repo rate is very important. In this whole monetary thing, policy, the repo rate plays it all. So when you have the central bank, now whenever I say central bank, I'm doing the Reserve Bank, they have the repo rate to control, right? So let's see what happens. Now, cash reserves requirement for banks. Okay, so the repo rate to achieve a liquidity shortage, the Reserve Bank uses two more instruments. So, what is a liquidity shortage? A liquidity shortage is when banks, commercial banks, do not have money, right? So, they will cash reserve requirements for banks. Okay. So, the central bank will tell, like, commercial banks, they must have a certain percentage of the money they got from people as reserves at the bank, so in a safe, right? The higher those reserves, that means more money has to be kept from the bank. This means there's less money in circulation because the money is just kept in a safe in a bank. There's less money in circulation. Open market operations. Now, when the Reserve Bank buys from somewhere like the government or it buys from a commercial bank, they're basically paying for something, huh? When they're paying the commercial bank, they're giving them money. So that money is going in the economy. So the money in the economy increases, right? So this will cause demand to obviously increase and so on, right? But what you need to understand also is the commercial bank may buy something from the Reserve Bank. In this case, money it's not going to be in the economy; it's going to the straight to the Reserve Bank. So if you really picture it, the Reserve Bank is like making the money. When the Reserve Bank buys from the economy, it's putting money in. When it's selling something, money is going out from the economy and going back to the Reserve Bank because it's selling. So and someone from the economy has to buy it. Now the market for reserves. So the central bank has a reserve, right? The reserve, another name for the reserve of the central bank is the money. So this graph basically says, okay, the commercial bank, right? The commercial bank, they demand for this reserve in the central bank and they supply. So the central bank will supply money, right, to the commercial banks, right? This is 50 billion. Now, the central bank, they will demand money from the central bank, right? Because they need to borrow money so they can lend to other people. As the interest rate goes down, I mean the repo rate goes down, they will want more money from the central bank, as you can see. So the interest rate going down, they want more money from the central bank reserves, more money borrowed from the central bank. So commercial banks will be like, hey, interest rate is so low, let me get more money from the central bank who's making the money, and let me just lend this out to other people and make profit. So that's what they do. Now your equilibrium will be over here. This is the repo target rate. So this is where ideally the repo rate will be at 5% always, right? Okay, so the monetary policy now. So the way the monetary policy works is very, very simple, right? If the central bank increases the repo rate, it's going to have a massive effect. If the repo gets decreased, it's going to have a massive effect. So what's going to happen is very, very simple. If the repo rate gets increased, number one, straight away inflation rate goes up. Number two, exchange rate goes up. So hear what I'm trying to say. Repo rate goes up, inflation rate goes up, exchange rate goes up. That's what happens. If repo rate goes down, inflation rate goes down, and exchange rate goes down. Why? Let's start with up. When the repo rate goes up, interest rate has to go up. This is a law. The commercial bank's interest rate has to go up. Think about this. Repo rate goes up. That means the commercial bank is paying a lot of interest. So their interest has to go up. So when they lend out money to people in the form of loans, they have to pay a higher interest. Makes complete sense. Now, what will this happen, right? If there's more interest on loans, people won't take loans. So there'll be less money in the economy in people's hand because people are not doing loans. But also the interest rate is high. This means more people will save in banks. So more people will take the money in the economy and put it in banks. So at the end of the day, there's not much money in the economy. All are in the banks. Okay? So you get what I'm trying to say? Now, down. If the repo rate goes down, this means the interest rate will have to go down via the law. When the interest rate goes down, this means more people will take out loans from the commercial bank, right? It's cheap to take loans. More people will take loans, more money in the economy, also savings. If the interest rate is low, no one is going to put their money in the bank to save because they're not getting interest. So that means more money is staying in the economy. So you see, so that's what happens, right? Also, the exchange rate goes down. Now, the reason why the exchange rate goes down is very, very simple. Very simple, actually. If the interest rate goes down, that means your rand is not good. It's undervalued. Like basically, people will invest in this country. So if the inflation rate is down, that's bad for the country. Therefore, the exchange rate collapses and goes down. If the interest rate goes up, the exchange rate goes up. So you see how everything's linked. Now the inflation rate, right? Okay. So let's see the inflation rates. Okay, so I already explained how this repo rate affects the inflation rate. They have a direct relationship, one increase, other increase. Output gap. So you know how you got real GDP and potential GDP? So you got like this. This is called the output gaps. This is a positive output gap, this is a negative output gap, right? Over here it's going up, that's a expansion. When it goes down, it's a recession. This is a trough, this is a peak. Inflationary gap is this here. Inflationary gap. It's the positive. This is a recessionary gap, negative, right? Now, the output gap is positive, the inflation rate will accelerate. Always when this is positive, this whole area here, when this goes up your real GDP, always your inflation rate will go up. Always. Inflation rate goes up over here. When it goes down, inflation rate goes down. But right now, we are talking about inflation gap, so inflation is going up. Now, a higher interest rate might be required. So why when the interest rate goes up, you're going to put... Why when the inflation goes up, you're going to put higher interest rates? Make it make sense, okay? So over here, right, there's too much of money in the economy. There's too much. People are having very, very happy lives here, right? It's going up, the economy is doing well, there's a lot of money in the economy. The reason this is bad is because the potential GDP is over here, the straight line here. So you have to produce over here. So we need to put this down to here. To get this down to here, we need to put interest rates higher. Why? If interest rates are high, no one is going to take loans from the bank. Because when people take loans from the bank, more money is in people's hands, more money in the economy. So when there's more loans, when the interest rate goes up, there's less loans. People don't take money from the bank. So the money decreases. Interest also high, so people will save. So more money will go into banks. People put it into banks, so that is why it goes down. Now, when it's over here, think about it. Inflation is going down, but now you need to bring inflation up. Oh, sorry, yeah, technically, but also over here, people have less money over here, right? In your recessionary gap, recession is bad. People have less money. So if you reduce interest rates, loans become very, very cheap. Therefore, people take loans, more money is added to the economy. Also, savings. There's lower interest rates, so nobody's going to save. So more money will stay in the economy. Therefore, it increases. So that's how you work this out. Transmissions channel. So there's repo rate increase, decrease, three channels or three ways in which it affects, right? It affects the banks. How? When you increase repo, their bank's interest rate will increase. Decrease repo, bank's interest rate will decrease. Literally, that's all. Interest rate channel. When the repo rate increases, all interest rates increase. So it doesn't matter if it's whether a bank or not. If you are planning to buy a car from some company, most likely the interest is going to increase. It's a chain reaction, right? So all interest increase if repo rate increase. Exchange rate. If the repo rate increases, the exchange rate increases. I told you all have a direct relationship here. So yeah, basically, right? Yeah. So if the exchange rate repo increases, that will cause the exchange rate to increase. So repo rate, right? The way at the end of the day it affects demand are all these components, right? The exchange rate, the interest rate, lending, but we'll discuss it over here now, okay? I want you to look at number one and I want you to look at the last one, right? You can see over here when the bank lowers the repo rate, what happens? The demand increases. When the bank raises the repo rate, the demand decreases. So now everything in the middle will tell us how we got to that. You see, now anytime the bank lowers the repo rate, demand increase. When demand increase, what does it mean? There's more money. That's another way of saying it. And here, less money. So why will there be more money when the bank lowers the repo rate? If the bank lowers the repo rate, the interest rate of the bank drops. Therefore, more people take loans. There's more money in the economy. That's number one. Where's it, Joe? There we go. There's more money in quantity supply. Interest rate falls. More people consume expenditure because there's more money in the economy. See, already I covered all three. Now, one last one, the exchange rate. If the repo rate lowers down, this means the exchange rate gets lowered. If the exchange rate gets lowered, the rand goes down, it depreciates, gets lowered. Exchange rate bad. Exchange rate going down is bad. The rand goes down. So in South Africa, the price of oil is 2 rand. If the exchange rate goes down, the price of oil will be 1 rand. For other countries, I'm talking about. So this means other countries will buy a lot more of oil now that the exchange rate went down. So therefore, net exports increase. That means more exports will get. More countries will want to buy our products because for them it's cheaper because the exchange rate has went down. Now for raising the prices, raising the repo. If you raise the repo, interest of the banks will go up. The cost of borrowing is going to go up. Not a lot of people will take loans. So no one is going to take loans. Therefore, it goes down the quantity of money in the economy. Also, exchange rate here will also rise. If the raises the repo rate. Oh yeah, if the exchange rate rises, what happens? It becomes more expensive to other countries to buy our products. Therefore, no one buys it. So at the end of the day, there is no demand. Demand decreases. There's very less money in the economy, And at the end of the day, if demand increases, what happens? The way you represent this in the graph is very, very simple. I'm just going to draw it over here. So you got your supply curve, you got your demand curve. If demand increases, now this is price over here and the y-axis price level, this is GDP. Price. If demand increases, what happened to price? Price was here before, you see, so price increased, so price went up, GDP went up also. So inflation rate increases, yeah. when the price goes up, price level goes up. That's inflation, right? You're paying more for something. So yeah. Similarly for demand, when it goes to the decreases. So similar, nice, right? Plan expenditure is when people have money and they spend it, right? That's normal. It produces more in the economy, more money in the economy when people spend. Ripple effect, right? So consumption expenditure is when us people we like buy things, right? We consume, we buy from the shop something. Investment expenditure is like when you put money in the savings, right? In the bank. Net exports is when people from other countries buy your products. Weaker exchange rate is good because there's more people who want your products. How global markets work? Okay, comparative advantage. Comparative advantage means one country or a person has a lower opportunity cost of producing a good than another. We're gonna do a calculation or a graph now. Okay, so let's do a calculation, right? So when you get this question, right, then they will ask you how much like are you okay. So very simple, right? Equilibrium. Okay, so I'm explaining very simple. Let's say you're selling t-shirts and you are South African import t-shirts. This is where there is no international trade. So if you picture South Africa in lockdown, only South Africa in the world, literally only South Africa in the world, this will be the demand and supply. However, if there's international trade, so it's possible to buy t-shirts from somebody else, from other countries other than South Africa, this will be the demand and supply, which is the real case. I will show you a very simple way. You need to look at this graph and tell me, are we importing more or are we exporting more of t-shirts? If we are importing more of t-shirts, that's bad. That means we're bringing t-shirts from other countries in. That means they have a better opportunity cost. We need to export more. That's good. When we export more, products are going out from South Africa into other countries. So that's good. So we need to work it out. Very easy. I'll show you. Extremely easy. I want you to look at our two dots. We got our one dot here and one dot here. This dot is on the demand curve, right? How much? Give me a number. The demand is 60. So I'm just going to write your demand 60, right? And I'm showing a very easy way to calculate this. So our demand for t-shirt is 60. Sorry, it's quantity. So 60 t-shirts. And this is the supply dot, so 20. Now you tell me, critically think here. If we supply 20 to other countries and we demanded 60, so supply is another way of saying exports, we supply to other countries, and this is import, demand is import. So if we got 60 products from other countries, but other countries bought from us 20, that means we have an import of 40. So at the end of the day, we imported 40. So import is greater than the export. Now what this means, if we imported 40, this 40 came from other countries. So at the end of the day, that's bad. That means we don't have what is it called? We don't have a comparative advantage. You see what I'm trying to say? This answer will be imported will be 40 because 60 minus 20, which we did over here, 40. So from here to here is 40. See, that minus as 40. So we import 40. That's bad. Now, what about wine? In South Africa, let's see if we have a comparative advantage. This now is a supply dot. So supply dot is 700. Demand dot, where's demand curve here? Demand dot here is 200. I mean, you can always see supply is greater than demand, and it's 500 if you subtract. So obviously the supply, you supplied more, so you supplied 500 at the end of the day. So if you supplied 500, that means you exported 500, gives you South Africa a comparative advantage. So South Africa wins over here because you exported more than you imported. Supplied more to other countries, you exported. So over here 500 will be this figure from here to here. 500 you exported, and yeah, that's how you read this number. Definitely. So that's how you work these graphs out. Now, very easy way to remember it. I just want to check something. 1 second. Okay, so Very, very easy. This is normal how we get consumer surplus, producer surplus, right? But we're looking at this graph because this is actually real. Producer surplus, when you're looking at this graph, will be everything below the red curve. Producer surplus. Consumer surplus will be everything above the red curve. Right? Now, I'm just thinking away, how do you remember it? Producer surplus is down. Very, very easy. Consumer surplus, producer surplus, C. C comes first, right? A, B, C. So start from top, right? There's clouds and it's raining. It's raining all letters. So the first letter is C, consumer surplus, then producer. So CP, right? So C comes first, then P. So C is on top, right? Always think about that. C, consumer surplus, right? C, another way to say is C. You see it. So C, see it. That's the best, so that's top. Over here, same thing. Above the red line is green, the consumer surplus, and all above it, producer surplus. So that's how I must know. Producer surplus is down the red dot or the red line. So all you need when you're looking at this is look at a horizontal line. It won't be red because we're getting a black paper. So look at the horizontal line going straight. The above it is consumer surplus, below producer. Producer surplus, if it's bigger, that means it's better for us. That means we have a comparative advantage, obviously. Okay, gains for all. So what this thing is very important, gains for all. Whether you're importing good, exporting good between two countries, one country will benefit always, no matter what. One country will always benefit no matter what, right? Trading with the world. So just pause and read this. But you just need to there's nothing me to explain. Okay, so absolute advantage, right? What's an absolute advantage? Absolute advantage is when you're efficient, quick. You can easily do it better than somebody else produce a product, right? If you're only looking at good X, which has a absolute advantage? Which produces a better product quicker? Obviously India. So India has an absolute advantage with good X. Good Y, it'll be South Africa. So you see absolute, which is faster, efficient. Now, you need to also calculate the relative price. Now, at the end of the day, we're looking at who needs to give products to who, export products to who. We'll show you the other steps now, but I'm just looking at how you calculate relative price. Very easy, relative price. Good X over good Y. So as soon as you see this table, you'll see this table. You have to make this other columns here. Just put here good X over good Y and here good Y over good X. So go like that and then go up. So down, up. So again, think of clouds when it's raining, down, up. So good X over good Y, which is here, and then good Y over good X. Then you're done. Now just follow the equation, good X over good Y, so 2 over 1. And here will be 1 over 2, and here will be 1 over 3, and there will be 3 over 1. So you just follow that pattern, right? Think of rain, think of clouds, I told you. Going from up to down, so good X over good Y, but then you reverse. So once you do that, it's very simple. How do you interpret it, right? So when you say good X over good Y, good X is your subject, good Y is your subject. So when you're talking about which is better in doing good X, you need to look at these numbers and it relates to good X. For example, the smaller number will be the better one. 2 over 1 is just 2. 1 over 3 is 0.3333333 forever. So this is smaller. 1 over 2 and 3 over 1, which is smaller. This is 3, this is half. This is 0.5, half. So smaller is this. So what this means is very, very simple, right? We can see that India is much cheaper producing X. Did we pick India? Yes, we picked India for X. For Y, we picked South Africa. For Y, yes, 100% we correct. Right? So now, what we concluded. Good X, right? What we concluded. We can see that India is much cheaper producing good X than South Africa. So, India must sell good X. So we calculate this to need to basically say who must sell to who. So if South Africa is better, smaller, India is smaller in good X, they should sell it to South Africa. This is smaller, this should sell to India. That's basically it, right? So everything that we did was calculated at absolute advantage of it, right? I'm just thinking, why did we do all these calculations, to be honest, when we can just go to the first and do that? I'm just checking something. Just curiosity. Why did we? Because from here you can just see South India. Because from here we picked India, and here we picked South Africa. So we don't even have to do those calculations. We picked India because out of X this is quicker, and out of Y this is quicker. So why did we do all those calculations? Um, okay, so the reason why we did all those calculations is because you need to be specific. What we did now is totally correct, but if you get large numbers, right, it's going to be very hard. For example, yeah, you get 120,500, yeah, you get 133,000 or something, but basically, it's very hard. But this will be a quicker way to do it, I guess. No, not a quicker way, yeah, a more accurate way to do it. But it's the same thing if you just look at it, to be honest. I don't know why they're making you do this calculation. And yeah, that's it, right? That's it. Oh, this is another example. Oh, I think I see why they did it. Okay, so yeah, this will be South Africa and South Africa. Huh? Right, so, right. Uh, I was trying to see if the conclusion is the same. Okay, so this is 2 over 3. Okay, I see. So, okay. The reason why they did that long calculation, these two calculations after, is because not necessarily when you look at the thing and see this will be always right. You see, that is why, yeah, they did the calculation and they said India will sell the good X, hmm, and good Y will sell thing, South Africa. Okay, makes sense. So you have to do this calculation at the end, right? So don't forget that you have to do the calculation. Don't just look at it and see that in South Africa is cheaper. No, it's different. So yeah, that's it.